Welcome to the Freddie Kissoon Show. Bring it!
Let me ask you this question. I would like to ask the AG to propose legislation for what we call small claims court. There are lots of poor people, to an example you just gave, that they have issues with others and sometimes with large firms, but the lawyer fee is greater than the fee you're claiming.
It is their right.
Yes.
The right that someone has. All of our rights exist in context.
What is the context of a second medical opinion?
Because you disrespected the process.
No.
Jesus, this is common sense, man.
Any situation which you seem to do, you're just dealing with Afro-Guyanese issues. If one, you can't bring and pull the leaders of the African community together, you're failing. And if two, you can't put forward a vision, a blueprint, and a plan for African Guyanese, you're failing as well.
Pleasant Monday evening to you. This is not a normal Monday. The 26th of January 2026 is not a normal day. And I will tell you why it's not a normal day. If you're at my age, if you're in your 50s, 60s onwards, you will know it's not a normal day. From the time we got self-government in Guyana, the journalists, the academics, and foreigners who visited Guyana or wrote about Guyana speak about Guyana's two main parties, Guyana's two giants, Guyana's two leviathans, the formidable, large, powerful PPP, and equally in substance, the PNC, the People's Progressive Party, and the People's National Congress. Since 1957, in which more than 2/3 of the country wasn't born, they had alternated the government, and there was the premier or the prime minister or the president from the PNC, the opposition leader from the PPP, the premier, prime minister, president from the PPP, the PNC, the opposition. That scenario, that tradition died on Monday the 26th of January 2026. For people of my age, it's a kind of a sad moment that you wouldn't have the PNC as the main opposition leader. And that's because I grew up with them. And although I've never been a part of them, been very distant from them, I interacted since 1968 when I entered politics. I interacted with most of their leaders, probably all of the third tier leaders, the second tier leaders, and some of their first tier leaders. Like I know Mr. Green well over the years. I knew Elvin McDavid very well, knew Vincent Alexander. We were born a block away from each other in Workmanville. Well, today, there isn't a PNC opposition leader or a PPP opposition leader. The PPP is in government, and there's a new opposition leader, which I find despicable, detestable. I'm not going to hide my views. What I know of the life of Azwaddin Mohammed, he should not be in politics, and he should be before the law. And I'm not talking about OFAC sanctions. But we're here to discuss the election of the opposition leader, and the budget is going on as this program is going on. We're filming this program at 7 o'clock and the budget is going on. So we'll just tell you a few things about the budget. Let me hand over to Leonard and he will deal with the budget. I know about philosophy, political theory, and international relations. Leonard Craig was trained at the PhD level in economics. So let's start with the election of a new opposition leader. And I'm sure Leonard Craig, born in Berbice, over the years would have interfaced with PNC leaders who in this country, in their 40s onwards, have not interfaced with PNC and PPP leaders. They were the two Leviathans. I don't know, the PPP remains one of the Leviathans. Craig, who's the other Leviathan?
One was slayed recently. Today,
The lion got slain.
today marks is like symbolic. I mean, it happened since September the 1st, and but today is like a symbolic day.
Yeah, because today is now an official opposition leader.
Yeah, and an official opposition leader that is not named by either the PNC or the PPP. Well, in this case, PNC, because PPP is in power. It is a turning point in history. It now becomes a fork in the road for the PNC. Sometimes when especially on Facebook, because a lot of people's views come out on Facebook. Not everybody have a channel and a program such as this, and so you get their views through the comment section of Facebook. And sometimes when I see PNC support base comment on Facebook, I feel sad, because when you give a view, as true as it may be, that is in opposition or that doesn't necessarily meet all they descend into abuse. Still, I thought that after the election and that shaking up that they got,
Devastation, earthquake,
I
tsunami.
thought that the
They're still,
support base and the leadership
they're still using
would have
people
been
on
a little
Facebook.
more thoughtful, a little more digestive of ideas and processing ideas. But I feel sad when I see people are not interacting with you on the points that you make. If you say the grass is green, they're not coming back to say, here, look, this grass is only green for 2 weeks. It's gonna get dry soon as the rain. Rather than that, they tell you, you get kakai, you know, that kind of thing.
But
And
there may just be wild PNC support.
no,
May not be
some of them
could
are
be
wild,
no-
and some of them are
people
people who you consider,
to know better.
yes. And sometimes it's extremely sad. And when I see that, I have no hope for the PNC, because people wants to see an engagement. You engage people on the points made, and you show that you have an understanding of what is going on, and you're not just out to character assassinate, to attack, and to spew vile hatred. And when I see that, then it's when I kind of lose hope.
But
for
that's
the
not
PNC.
coming from the leadership and the second tier leadership. So you
Um,
can't blame the PNC for that. It's not
yeah, man.
coming from the hierarchy and below.
No,
the
never mind. If the hierarchy did not engage in that themselves, who does more views out than Terence Campbell?
Yes.
And call people names and,
Yeah, yeah.
and
They
fat
had that-
shame and all
Yeah,
that.
they had that since Burnham days with Green. Green.
Yeah, but those
Oh,
were
yeah,
the
people.
quote unquote heydays of the PNC. So
right.
the PNC would not have lost
Right,
be-
because they were in power.
Green.
They were
and-
they
and
had unelected authoritarian power. So
right, and then Green appealed to a certain
the mindset.
yes, small demographic that they want to keep. But now the PNC structure is that they want to build and appeal to a wider cross section of people.
They have to, because the demographics have changed.
Exactly.
Indians are now
Yeah, yeah.
39 from 50 something percent. But Leno, aren't they gradually learning? And I know we have belabored the point that they have to stop their, no questionable déploiement. And you could see from Ganesh Mahipal. But Terence Campbell also seemed
To be pivoting?
Yeah, they did the right thing. They abstained. Because you can't accuse them of voting for Azudin.
Right.
They say, no, we don't want. They abstained. They say, we ain't choosing him.
I have always said that Ganesh Maipal is made out of good substance, and Aubrey Norton should never have selected Terence Campbell to lead the PNC in the
But you know
House.
what Ganesh
That
Maipal.
person should have been Ganesh Maipal.
Just continue. Just let me tell you something so you could even continue what you say with more analytical zest. Ganesh Mahipal put something on his Facebook saying, you can't do this in politics. Somebody did an artificial intelligence caption with Priya Manik Chan riding on the president's back. Now he could have ignored that and said, look, this is President Manik Chan, there's now be people, what, you know. But that could only win him plaudits. And they're so stupid, the rest of them. They can't see that an apology and those could win you plaudits.
And what happened if you check under the comments? Some of the support base of the PNC has attacked Ganesh, and they have said that he genuflecting to the PPP, and I think some of that
some of those people are wild low life people. Don't take that seriously.
So the
Facebook full of low lives, you know.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, the leadership of the PNC.
Yeah, you should intervene and say, you have to intervene.
Right. Especially people who you know personally. They're some people who are known by PNC leaders that I know that PNC leaders know them. Gotta reach out to these people and say, no, we gotta lift our conversation.
Send out messages on your Facebook page to our supporters, to our deal supporters. We value your contribution. Without you, we would not be in Guyana's existence. But think carefully whether you're doing us harm with this cussing out and with this abusing out. They've got to do that.
So what the PNC needs to understand, that there is a time and place for abusing out, but it can't be every day and under everybody's thing, right? There's a time and place for that, and there's a set of people for that. So we know that Ganesh Maipal, for example, is doing good abusing out, but not at the gutter level. He engages people and he confronts them.
He has a humorous, evocative style.
Exactly.
Like you say, but I think you were accused of stealing money too. But I think you didn't take the people's computer up to the office.
Right.
See, that's how he does it.
That you can appreciate. You understand?
Tell me, John, you pay me or something.
Right, and stuff like that. So and that is why I would like Mahipal's political style. And I only wish that many others could learn and so on. And like I said, they might be somebody inside of the PNC who is just known for cussing out. And that is okay. You know, that one person, that person is labeled, that's the style,
the role.
and you assign them the role. And, exactly. But when the whole something is wrong. Now, back to the leader of the opposition. As you know, I am friends with Amanza Walton. I know her since childhood. I play in her yard. I know her since primary school days and so on. You were at my wedding. She was a guest at my wedding.
That's where I first met her.
Right, and so I know her very well. Is somebody I'm going to say to Guyana is somebody I know very well, somebody I like a lot, and I don't think being on opposing political side could ever change that. However, if there are aspects of Amanza's politics that I do not agree
Yeah,
with,
yeah,
I will
obviously.
speak boldly about it. And if I happen to see her or happen to have a phone call with her, I will also tell her that. So, and I think it was a big mistake today
Voted for him, yeah.
to have actually raised your hand, because the Constitution says you got to vote by a show of hands. To have actually raised your hand in support, if you
someone
if you
like us.
process what Azruddin Mohammed represents, I think Amanza had done an extremely good job up to the point of actually putting her finger in the air. She had already said, if the meeting is not called and the man is not selected, she would not speak. And she had already shown support on principle. And to me, if she had done that, if he was not named and she did not go to Parliament, she can say, I took a principled stand in not going because I think the speaker had sufficient time to do this, and the excuses is not thing, and it don't sit well with me, and I'm not going to there. Understood. But if you go into that room and you raise your hand in support,
I think she, when I saw she did that,
uh-huh.
I think she lost the moral ground.
yeah,
in the politics.
to complain against anything she thinks to be
But
immoral.
we said it when we were in the
Yeah.
Promenade Gardens.
Mhm.
If you are convicted for stealing pigs, you can't comment anymore about people stealing.
Right.
You lack it. No, I wrote in my column coming up in Chronicle, I want to see how they're going to speak, how they're going to talk about bad governance now. I don't know if you heard when she voted for Azruddin Mohammed, what he said. He said, we will integrate her into the parliamentary committees because she's always worked with us.
I got a comment on that.
She's always, so like there was some relationship. He said it openly.
No, but he can't do that. He has no such power.
I know.
To
And
do
Sean
that-
Paul told him that.
To do that, he would have
could do
to
it.
change. No, he can't.
No, let me tell you what we could do based on Ganishmani Paul configuration. You've got to give the PPP, the PNC and WIN, share the committees.
Yes.
Now, the WIN can say, and Ganishmani Paul talks about if it's a 7-man committee, if it's a 5-man committee, how it is shared.
Yes.
Now, in a 7-man committee, it's 4 for the PPP, 1 for the PNC, 2 for WIN.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he can say in the
Of your two.
that I'm giving
One-
Amanza Walter
No, he
one.
can't.
He can't do that?
No. And here is why. The standing order dictates the proportion. And Azruddin cannot take it on himself and change the proportion. Say, if the proportion dictates
No,
that
he changing proportion.
No, he is.
He keeping
Because
the 2.
Amanza is from another party. And she has not amassed sufficient proportion in the House to get a seat. And it therefore means
He
then
can't, so you
he,
saying
he would have
he
to
can't give her a
no,
win
he,
seat
no, he cannot.
in those committees?
Because she enters Parliament on a different ticket, and she has not amassed sufficient proportion.
So you can't have a forward Guyana member on the committee.
No.
The committee has to have 2 win.
Win
1
because
PNC,
it is
3
because it is in black and white in the standing orders. The opposition leader would have to move a motion to suspend the standing order to allow for that to happen. And when the standing orders are suspended or properly voted thing, then they could allow it. But he would be in breach of the standing order by giving his seat to another party. He could give his seat to another member in his party. If you follow what I'm saying, the standing orders can't
It doesn't
be
matter
taken
the
for
name.
granted.
If it's 2 win, it has to be
It
from
has
win.
to be from win.
You sure?
Yes, 100% sure about
Well,
that.
I don't know, but he mounted off that she's been.
Yeah,
she's
I
been-
think
and he's
it's,
good.
I think
probably
he
don't
is
know.
trying.
Dennis,
He don't know, but I think he was trying to
be nice to
be right. is a gesture that, hey, she supported us and we want to support her. And I think that is fair enough, but he has no such power. He has no such
Paul
power.
said in a Facebook post that he doesn't understand, Azudin doesn't understand the parliamentary configuration.
He clearly doesn't, and if I were him,
But
I would spend more time.
Parliament, she should have known better.
Not everybody who sits in Parliament
No, yeah.
Understands what's happening in Parliament.
Yeah, some of those backbenchers don't know one thing about
Yeah,
this.
you see, the thing is, our culture of reading these days, reading to understand, reading to learn, is in deficit. And people participate in things that they don't read about. And
she was a previous parliamentarian in AP.
Yes,
But
she
she
was
should-
even a minister.
Right. So she would be familiar with
Then they have St. Louis. They have
yeah, she was there before.
the former the lady who took over from Harman, the Amerindian lady.
Yeah.
Forgetting her name. Dawn Hastings. She was also in Parliament, but I think he said that out of kindness, political kindness, so to speak. But I would be surprised if the clerk allows that.
But she doesn't understand. I think she faulted badly there. If she listened to how Wynne behaved, Azudin Mohammed behaved during the election, as enunciated by Dr. Mark Vance, if she had listened, she must have heard and seen how her coalition partner, VPAC, felt about Azudin.
Yeah.
Darwin Best said the guy invited him. It's all our opposition parties election coming on, and they met in Linden. And Darwin Best said all the man was interested in is Darwin Best and VPAC subsume themselves
Yes.
under Now Darwin Best is on record on Facebook as criticizing the politics of Azudin and how you could have such a person, etc., etc. Now, what we have to ask Best, and it's the three parties in Forward Guyana is Amanza Walton, Darwin Best, and who's the third one? A preacher.
Yes.
We have to ask them if they agree with their party voting for Azudin as opposition leader. Was it a case of Amanza Walton arrogating to herself, or was that a Forward Guyana?
I would
decision?
like to hear, because Pastor London, for example, who is
Could we call him now? Could we call him now while the program is going on? Yes, call Pastor London.
I don't have his number, but
You got Best?
I might have Darwin Best's number.
You want to
But-
call him? Yeah, let's call him.
Pastor London quite often,
Disassociated himself from.
not necessarily, but quite often speaks on issues of corruption and moral values and so on.
He voted for that.
And he is part of a party that, actually, I mean, even if you sit there and abstain or not walk out like the PNC or whatever, I think the PNC did the right thing, in that after you have decided you're not going to put up a candidate because you feel it's useless, you don't have the votes, the next best thing to do would have been either to sit and not vote or just leave. And they don't want to send a message that we're not voting and being there. So they said that what Terence Campbell said is that we don't have sufficient votes, so we didn't put up a candidate. And because we didn't put up a candidate, there is no need to stay there. It's a done deal, right? And I think they did the right thing, in that in the future, you can't accuse them of
No, they did the strategic thing.
the strategic.
You cannot say down the line, You're talking about
Yeah.
Rajay Singh.
Mhm.
You're talking about Timothy Brown.
Mhm.
And y'all voted for this man. Look, he gone in a jail.
Yeah, because you heard what I said on the last program when you didn't fully agree with me. And I was saying if PNC raised their hand
should
to
have.
vote for thing, the next day the
But I'm
president
wondering if people
should announce something
I
both
wonder if
for
people
May
listening.
Thomas and
I wonder somebody listened to you because he turned up. The guy Darren Lal.
Mhm.
He turned up at a meeting invited by the Ministry of Local Government
Mhm.
with since we made out, I don't know since we made you made that
No.
point.
But I am saying, and I am
Well,
fully
I
in
don't agree
agreement.
with you. No.
No, here's
You
why.
can't
Here's why.
respond to people's faults by being false.
No. Here's why.
No,
why.
I don't
Follow
agree.
me. Follow me on this. I
I
hear
don't
you.
want to follow you.
I hear you. But here, listen.
I don't want
Listen
to
to the
follow
argument.
you.
Hold on.
There's a fork in the
Okay.
road.
All right. Stop there. How long from? Okay. If somebody, and I'm not saying this is not.
I know your point. I
specifically
get your point.
directed.
You said it in the public.
If somebody
Yeah.
is at fault for something that they did in government, how long is that period of putting them in the doldrums? How long does that period
Could we
last?
call Darwin Best and ask
Mm-hmm.
him, Darwin, did you agree? That's while you're talking to him, I could
You should have called him before the program
Yeah, I should
started.
have called him before the program. Let me say something whilst you are trying to get him.
Mhm.
About the parliamentary opposition leader. Do you know what Campbell said to the media? And this thing is a bit confusing. Campbell is parliamentary leader of the PNC group of parliamentarians. He's not the leader of the PNC. But he was quoted as saying he cannot ask his GCOM representative, his GCOM party representative to leave. His position is that it's a constitutional matter and he would not ask them to demit office as commissioners of GCOM. Isn't that the jurisdiction of the leader of the PNC? That's not the jurisdiction of the parliamentary leader. That's a PNC policy.
Oh, all right.
So
Hear
how
this.
come Campbell?
It could be the jurisdiction because remember that it is the parliament that I think these people are no, they are appointed directly, not through the Parliament Committee of Appointment.
No,
I think they're
appointed by
appointed.
the
Yeah,
leader.
so
The leader-
you're right. Yeah,
The
you're
leader
right.
of the opposition
You're right,
subcommittee.
right.
But the way he spoke in that interview he gave, if you didn't know that Norton was the leader of the PNC, you would think because he was speaking saying, I would not withdraw my party representative. If you look at, we're going to go to the budget now, but if you look at the way Campbell, if you examine the shape of Campbell de Pomar, you would think that he is the leader of the PNC, and I think that's the intention.
Well, probably the leader has given him that latitude,
Yeah.
and I think Campbell should be sensible enough to know what latitude he has and what he doesn't.
But let's go over to the budget, and I will take a backseat here because you're an economist. One of the things about an oil country is the critics and the international experts always say it comes with the Dutch curse. It comes with you putting everything in oil and all your eggs are in one basket. Now the budget revealed that about 15% growth in the non-oil sector. I welcome that because I believe the Dutch disease is very dangerous, and the Dutch disease has diminished the international economics and the development economics of Trinidad. I have heard up-teen people, Leonard, would say, oh, Trinidad, I've been to that place, it's a first world country. I am telling you, people, the level of salaries, the infrastructure, this traffic jam we have here, and people, and I went there around 2000, and I was amazed at what I saw. And I remember David Hines telling me, I passed over from Trinidad. That place is a first world country now. But look what has happened to Trinidad, the Dutch disease. Everything was on oil. And now our budget reveals that we've had 14% non-oil growth. That is going to go more and more.
Just to plug a point, I think Trinidad's debacle is not entirely attributed to the Dutch disease. There are other issues and other points of mismanagement.
The economy relied on oil.
No, they had the largest manufacturing sector in CARICOM, and they had the largest.
But it was oil based. The black tanks that we get, it was that manufacturing was oil based.
Not necessarily. It was sufficiently because they were the leading manufacturer in processed foods and all those kinds of things. But yes, some of it is attributed to that. Some of it is to mismanagement. Some of it is to misallocation.
But misallocation is one.
And so on.
On the Manning spent over $300 million US to host the Summit of the Americas. A small country of 1.5 million people, 2,000 square miles, you go to spend $300 million on a 2-day meeting?
And I think one of the problems Trinidad has,
Manning is a disgrace.
Or that led to that, is that Trinidad did not spend enough money on. So while Trinidad was looking like a first world to your eyes, there were poor people and poor communities that were not attended to. And then the Trinidad government started something called the Unemployment Relief Program, where they were literally doling out money to people who are unemployed. And yes, it benefited the poor, but not in a lasting way, not in a way that says you can get this money, accumulate it, and invest to raise your standard. It was just eat it out. And that is one of the things I believe that helped to cause Trinidad to slide. But let's come back to our budget. As you rightly pointed out, growth in the non-oil sector is a good indication that your country is going in the right direction. Especially we saw growth in agriculture, we saw growth in manufacturing, and of course you don't have to mention we saw growth in construction. Now, since you mentioned the Dutch disease, why Guyana would be shielded, at least for now, and if the trajectory continue for the near future, there are a couple of things we must look at. Guyana, which is one of my philosophies too, when oil money is coming in, you build your infrastructure and you build it as fast as possible. Especially
when the oil goes down,
especially when the oil price is up. You build and you build quickly. And so that if you build out quickly, towards the back end, the money you have, you could spend it on deep human development to accompany the infrastructure that you build out. I think some people say the government is building too much and too fast. I've said it already that I don't even think they're building fast enough, because the government should have had a lot of money dedicated to changing the skyline, certain aspect of the skylines of Georgetown. But maybe we got so much to build in terms of roads and drains and so on that we can't pivot to that as yet. But I am not one in the corner of those people who said the government is spending too much money.
No, you have to build. You're right. You have to. you have to you have to reshape your infrastructure to provide, because it's the foundation on which will rest, in which modernization will take
Right.
off. You can have a road leading into agricultural area, and the one truck gone in the road and it break down.
Right. The other thing about that is that if oil prices take a nosedive, you can stop the infrastructure program for a bit or slow it down considerably. But you can't go to public servants and say, I'm going to reduce your pay. Right? The cash grant, you could turn it off or turn it down. The cash grant for the children, the cash grant for this, and so on. You could turn it down a little or dial it down. You could dial down, but you can't dial down salaries, wages, and so when you look at the proportion of spending and where it is being spent, I think we are in good hands, generally speaking. When I talk about these economic things, I try to make it as plain and simple as possible that anybody watching could understand it. There's a forum which I can use the technical jargon and so on, but in programs like these, I think everybody who look at it should understand. Now, there are a couple of things as we should tell viewers that as we are speaking here, the budget speech and presentation is still going on. So much of it we are not able to can or package and bring to you. So we will just have to cherry pick a couple of things that stand out. One of the things that stands out for me, Freddie, is when the finance minister read the section for education. I think some aspects of the plan that readily comes to mind is extremely good, and one of the things would be anybody who wants a scholarship to study at any institution in Guyana will get one, and the finance minister used the term unlimited scholarship. So it's unlimited on the goal, and of course UG is free, so that's unlimited too. And I get the sense that if you enroll in universities like Texila and Nations University and so on, and then you enroll and then apply for the scholarship, you will get it. You will get it. So that is an extremely good initiative that is going to change. And what the minister also reported is that UG was receiving, before free education, UG was receiving about 15,000 applications per year. Now since it is free, they're receiving 20-something thousand applications. And what they have found is that a lot of people in the outer regions are applying. And so under this budget, the government will be taking a lot of these programs to the regions. And they flagged medical and engineering programs that a lot of people in the outer regions are applying for those programs. But not everybody can be accommodated in Georgetown or at Turkine or whatever. So these programs will be taken.
But stop there. Our people, since independence, it's been a skewed developmental process. When you leave Region 4, people from Region 4 could easily get to UG, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're living up Mahika. But when you leave Region 4, it's 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, it's 9 other regions. And those people, those people need that kind of, those people need those kinds of facilities. So that would be one of the outstanding contributions of the budget. That you have people tail at the back of some place in the other regions. Take the learning process to them. You know, one of the things we are recording this program at 7:20, the budget as we speak it, Monday evening, the budget delivery is going on in Parliament. So some of the things we would know, but you know, Leno, as an academic, one of the things that irked me as an academic while teaching at UG is I can't understand why a country would have a status school, one status school like QC, and you would think that there'd be someone like that, some school like that, large and status laden in Region 6 and one in Region 2. But everybody wants to go to QC, and you could ease that burden by putting a QC in Region 3 and Region 6. Large building, even finance a swimming pool for the staff and the students, and so people could, move away from wanting to go to QC. I would like to see something like that in the budget.
Yeah, I think you are right. From my understanding, the preliminary, aspects of the passing the budget is reading the budget. And then when the budget is read, you then have to take that speech and then start deconstructing and taking it apart. So what we're hearing is just the preliminary things, and my understanding is some of your concerns are will be addressed.
Is that so?
Yes. Some of those concerns will be addressed. They spoke of improving dormitory access in the hinterland region so that teachers from the coast could go in and actually live and take their family and be comfortable, that they're going to be renovating a lot of these facilities. So once those things are actually done and delivered, I believe that some of your concerns will be addressed, and the budget speech also did mention expansion in agriculture, expansion in traffic, for example. I heard
expansion in
traffic management, I should say. Some device the government will procure to install in all trucks throughout the country, and the trucks will be regulated and cannot drive above a certain speed. Also trucks, they will be removing trucks that are parked on the roadside. So if you own a truck, there will be a designated place you could go and park the truck, and they're building some facility for over 200 trucks somewhere in the East Bank, and probably one somewhere else. And those things are good initiatives, because when you're driving down the East Bank Road, the number one category of vehicle will be trucks. Number one. There are probably 5 trucks to every one of some other category of vehicle that you see on the road. That is how many trucks you see. Sometimes you're in a line and you look down the line, there are 12 trucks in front of you, and you look on the other line coming the other way, you see 6, 7 trucks before you see another type of vehicle. So something like that is a good initiative. What I learned also from the budget is that almost every other sector has grown. Every other sector. We learned that rice, for example, has outperformed rice in any other time in our history last year, 2025. So we have produced the most rice we ever produced in Guyana in 2025. And that all the rice that was produced a market was found for it. And there is a collaboration with Mexico and some other country to improve our rice sector and to market to Mexico. And I think that is a good idea, especially on Mexico's part. If you plan to buy rice from us, it is good for you to show an interest in the rice industry to ensure you get the best quality coming into your country. And that collaboration with Mexico, I believe, will help to sustain what happens in rice. I also heard under agriculture that the estates, the sugar estates, it is a way of acknowledging that sugar is not a entirely viable vocation, and so the estates will, some aspects will be mechanized and some other aspects will be transformed into an agricultural, diversified agricultural frontier. And those are some things that stand out. When I last listened to the speech, the finance minister was just pivoting to housing, and I know some exciting things are going to be happening there, based on my knowledge of what they discussed during budget preparation and so on. But I didn't get to hear exactly what he said, what are the exact measures. But people can expect some exciting things in housing. So education budget has grown. I didn't hear anything yet. He didn't get to the part that where you would find interesting, like the increase in old age pension. And
well, I think we know what that is. It is said by the government, down the years coming, it will reach to 60. So it's 40 now. So it's going to be a few thousand over the 40, because he said they wanted to reach down the line to 60.
Well, you know, both you and I have the same position.
No, it should have been more than 60.
Right.
It should have been more than 60.
I would concur with that.
I don't know what's the thinking behind that. One of the things I am going to stress in the coming months and years is that this government has to get the mean test technology going. The means test technology will give the state data to show how the country's wealth could benefit those who don't have. And a means test, you're an economist, you went right up to the PhD level, you probably could devise a means test. When you take the database of the Ministry of Education, you take the database of GRA, you could come up with who gets 100,000 a month, who works only for $250 a month, and your means test.
But to make that effective, though, you would have to bring in those people in the informal economy. Some of those bus conductors, vendors, and so on, many of them are in the informal economy. They don't pay their NIS. You got to find a way of bringing them in. Otherwise, your means test would only touch on those people who are part of the formal economy. So they bringing the people in the informal economy into the equation is where the greatest challenge will exist. That's where the greatest challenge is. It is doable, but it is going to be difficult. And once I think I understand what the government is trying to avoid, in that once you start a means test, but you use the term technology, when you apply technology to it, it becomes better. But when you start applying means test, you then bring in human judgment, and then human judgment could take you down a rabbit hole.
No, the means test will be statistically based.
Right, I understand what you're saying.
GRA will know who paying, who earning to pay. The database of PAYE,
right,
you would
right.
know who
Right.
because you got a whole set of policemen, soldiers, teachers.
Right.
They're earning 160, 260,
Right,
and
right.
you see PAYE could tell you
Mhm.
over a period of time how much they're earning,
right.
and you catch that.
Mhm.
You catch that base, and that is where your cash handouts lie.
Right,
You-
right, right.
We are concluding this program at 7:30 Monday evening, and the budget outline is still going on. And I would like to think, based on what the government has said, there is a cash handout of $100,000. I think they said that. I hope that is the last, because it lacerates my psyche to know that after the budget is read this evening, down the line a couple of weeks, every over 18 citizen go and collect $100,000, which will come up to about 78 billion. I cannot, as someone who grew up poor, I cannot accept that, and I cannot accept that with my very, very, very limited income. I give to people who I think need those $100,000. Craig, you wouldn't believe it. Janet Kissoon, my wife, is a woman, is a human that doesn't lie. You should ask Janet what we do with our little income. The people we see that we give things to. You know, the guy come to weed our yard, and you know, those people need the 100,000 more than some others. I hope after this budget, that's the last cash handout. I don't agree with every school child getting a cash handout.
Right, but
You see
again,
those schools in the nation, children,
because of the
how
weakness
they
that the
live.
country has with respect to data.
Right.
That because how you look at the parents and say you will get and you won't get, and then another parent's gonna say you could imagine they working for more money than me and they
Do
get
you
it.
know some school children?
You know.
Do you know some school children go during lunchtime to some high-level cafes?
Yeah.
Right, Oasis Cafe, and have lunch there. One of it is in Middle Street.
Yeah.
You know, some school children got the bun and the sugar cake and the little chop.
Right, but how do you and you see when you start applying a
You
means
shouldn't
test,
have
the government
that.
gonna be accused of racism and all those kind, and I think that is what the government is avoiding. But as you
I
say,
don't think they should have had.
if it is data driven
Yeah.
and you have a reliable database and that kind of thing, then, but as I've said many times on this program, I personally am not a fan of universal cash transfers.
But
However,
Fred, we got to go
in
with-
context, the government is forced to do it now because of the society that we live in.
I think we stop now, though. After this budget, it stops.
I
They say after
hope,
this
I hope
budget
it stops.
I hope they stop every $50,000 for every school child. But we're gonna go. We were recording this program while the budget was going on, so we couldn't bring to you all the details. That would definitely happen on Wednesday. So have a very pleasant Monday evening. I have to end on a pessimistic note. I'm sorry that since 1957 the PNC would not be the major opposition party in Parliament. I grew up with them. Craig, we gotta go.
Yeah.
Right. Have a pleasant Monday.